Hi, folks, and welcome back to Four Corners of the Galley. I'm your host, PBO, and that one yelling out was Mr. RG, and the one who can't help herself is AG. All right. If you're with us today, folks, you're joining us on another edition of our Throwback Movie Review. And what are we hitting them with this time, AG?
Ace Ventura Pet Detective.
No! Ace Ventura Pet Detective.
Alrighty then. That's right. We're hitting you with a little Ace Ventura Pet Detective. The first leading role of Mr. Jim Carrey.
Or James Carrey.
As James
I found
Carrey
out today.
At that time, yes. And obviously his nickname is Jim, because that is the classic nickname for James.
Yeah.
So he goes by Jim Carrey later. In this movie, he is James Carrey. But this is his big, huge debut after he was blowing up in living color in the early 90s. They finally gave him his big shot. And man, he killed it. I mean, this movie is made for him, built for him, and no one else can play this movie. This movie to me is one of the most fascinating movies I've ever seen. It's absolutely amazing. That's my opinion. What's yours?
I think it's really funny. It's a funny movie. It has good concept to it. And he just does stupid things on camera.
Hey, what's yours?
I think this is a hilarious movie. Jim Carrey destroys this role, and yes, he does do stupid things on camera.
Yeah, I feel like this is Jim Carrey at his best. It's like they just put him in a room. They told him these are the points you got to hit. You do whatever you want, because I mean he does from impressions to his beating himself up to just absolutely just destroying every scene in this movie. So this concept actually is like a murder mystery mixed into a humorous movie. I mean, and it actually has a great story, and I think that's what carries this movie, because the story is obviously about Jim Carrey, who is this pet detective, but what happens is Snowflake gets taken.
The dolphin.
The mascot, imaginary mascot of the actual Miami Dolphins.
No.
They do not have a real dolphin. They never had. So I thought that was kind of cool.
They're gonna get a dolphin 2020. After Oprah and Kanye West will run against each other.
There you go. All right. So yeah, he gets taken, and it's a mystery to find this dolphin. So they call on Mr. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. They also have another famous face in this movie, who is his co-star in Courtney Cox from Friends fame. Mm-hmm. She's great. So what do you think about the concept of what they're doing, how they're chasing after this dolphin? And it's involving the Miami Dolphins. How do you like that?
It's a good concept, because you first think it's all about the dolphin, and then you realize that one of the old players has taken the dolphin.
Yeah, it gets a little deeper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely does. How do you think about it?
I think it's a great concept, because he's just a pet detective and every other cop hates him, so he just pisses everybody off, and then he's really smart, so he's like the best, but everyone hates him because of that.
He's kind of got that Forrest Gump going on, where he's really silly and dumb, but really smart in the real world. He's kind of playing that game with you. So you meet him, and obviously he's a huge animal lover, and he's got this great scene at the beginning where he's hiding all the animals from his landlord, and all that's fascinating. But then he goes to that mansion, and he does the silliness. I mean, he absolutely kills this scene the minute he steps on. So he does a barrage of things in this scene. What would be your favorite? Is it the walk up to the tank? Is it the tank? Or is it when he comes out of the tank and he does his stuff?
Well, my favorite part is the walk up to the tank, because he goes over the balcony, walks over, and then just jumps over back to the same side that he was on just to walk to the door.
That's probably the best. And they're playing the Mission Impossible theme in the background. What would be your best for that?
I think after where he then sees the ring of the guy at the mansion, and then he attacks him.
There you go. So you like the after part. Definitely great. The other fascinating scene is obviously when he figures out that who might be the killer, and it's Ray Finkel, and he has to go to the crazy house, mental hospital. Sorry, let me get that right. Mental hospital, and he's obviously dressed up in his creative costume. How much do you love that scene?
I think it's really funny, because he has to act like he's in a mental hospital and that he needs help. And then when he gets his alone time, he goes into a storage room to find stuff to help his case.
And then he tries to hide in a box.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I mean, he never stops. I think the beauty of Jim Carrey is when he steps in that scene, he just absolutely takes over the scene, and he wants to do the most ridiculous thing he can do in that scene. Is there anything about this movie that you didn't like?
No.
I can't argue. No. Is there anything about this movie that you didn't like?
Very little. Like, very little.
Do you know who Dan Marino is outside of this movie?
No.
Do you know who Dan Marino is outside of this movie? All right. Can't be mad at you guys. Dan Marino's a famous quarterback from the 80s and 90s, played for the Miami Dolphins, took the Dolphins to his Super Bowl in his rookie year. But the fact that they used actual Dan Marino in the plot, don't you think that kind of helped out the movie a lot because he was an actual famous quarterback?
Yeah, well, I really didn't pay attention because I didn't know who he was.
So did it matter to you? Could have been anybody?
It could have been anybody.
Could have been anybody?
No, I knew it was him.
Okay.
I also heard there's a rumor that Dan Marino ties his shoes laces in. You okay over there?
What is it about Jim Carrey in this movie that makes it so special?
Well, he likes to prove people wrong all the time. Like when he a case comes up and someone committed suicide, he like runs in the case and everyone's like, you shouldn't be here, like you're not an official cop and all this stuff. And then the lady who gives the statement says that she could hear the screams from the balcony and that the balcony door was shut. And then he goes outside and shuts it and starts screaming. And they're like, what are you doing? And he keeps opening it, screaming, closing it, opening it, screaming. And he's like, you can't hear me. As you can tell, he was murdered.
Definitely. What is it about Jim Carrey that makes this movie?
He's just an asshole the entire time. The entire time he doesn't stop doing it. And then when he is an asshole, he's a sarcastic.
He definitely takes it to another level. For me, this is Jim Carrey's defining role to me. This is his first big leading role, the one he came out the gate with, and I feel like he put his passion and he put it all on the line. I mean, from talking to his butt to doing impressions to even hanging out the window with Dan Marino and chewing gum at the end. I mean, the man commits to it. And then at the end, when you think everything's great, and he still sees the bird, and he takes on the eagle. I mean, even to the end, he won't stop being him. And he did that great shot. He's like, so what would be your overall rating out of 5?
A 5 out of 5.
A 5 out of 5? Yeah, I'll give it a 5 out of 5.
In my bias, I am not arguing with any of you guys. This movie is a 5 out of 5. That is our opinion. I would probably say, realistically, without us being crazy nuts, maybe like a 4 out of 5 because, I'm sorry, there is very few things to point out in this movie that have any issue whatsoever as long as you go in with an open mind and let your body feel filled with humor. Absolutely fabulous. Well, there it is, folks. The definitive review on Ace Ventura Pet Detective. A 5 out of 5. Take it from us. It's the best. We'd like to thank you for joining us on this Four Corners of the Galley movie review. Until next time, guys. Good night, Ted.
See you next time.